Hi and welcome to Healthy Life Hacks. I'm Jefferies, the present-day wise woman, a realistic naturopath coming to you from the surfing beaches of Australia. This podcast is for those of you who are wanting to really rock your life and health and live from a place of prevention. Let's get into today's episode. Eating crap and feeling like crap is a very real thing, and that's because of the gut-brain axis. When it comes to food intolerances, we have to not consider just our gut. We actually have to consider our brain. Why? Why? Because our gut and our brain actually work together. That gut-brain connection is very real. And sometimes the gut is actually referred to as our second brain because it's this complex network of neurons and they have such a huge impact on all of our body. And the gut-brain axis is actually a two-way communication system between our gastrointestinal system and our central nervous system, our brain. What we know is that when this gut-brain axis is out of balance, it can lead to a swag of health issues, including food intolerances. Food intolerances, you think, why? What's food intolerances got to do with your brain? Well, it's because of the gut microbiome. So the gut microbiome, which is found inside all of us and it's everywhere. However, about 70% is found within your digestive system. And it's there in our body to work as a protective mechanism. That's it. So it's this complex ecosystem, and it's all about body being able to take up nutrients, metabolize, digestion, all those kind of things, but also immune function. And that gut and brain talk to each other through this gut-brain axis, all right? What people don't realize is that just eliminating foods like food intolerances doesn't help the problem because that gut-brain axis is out of balance. So we need to look at that as well. And the way we do it is by working with a microbiome. Let's dive into this podcast today. So with the gut-brain axis, this one-way communication happens through the vagus nerve. And it's what links the gut-brain. And it's said to be like a superhighway of messages that just rock backwards and forwards all the time. It's sending signals which are impacting our moods, our thinking, our actions, the gut bacteria, how everything's happening. And ultimately then influences our neurotransmitters. So in our brain, things like serotonin and dopamine, which are our happy hormones. So eat crap, feel like crap is a very real thing. It was actually a psychiatry professor, Ted Dinan, who back in 2013 gave us the word psychobiotics. Psychobiotics, we know are prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics, but what people don't realize is that there's also psychobiotics. Psychobiotics is the name of working out what's happening between that gut-brain axis, okay? So our brain is 100% influenced by our gut chemistry. And so restoring our gut chemistry, a healthy gut microbiome, is a really functional way to be able to help improve our brain function and also emotional well-being. We know through research that imbalances in our gut microbiome have been linked to conditions like depression and anxiety and Alzheimer's disease. But we also know that the gut influences so many body systems that people don't even realize. And that's why we have prebiotics and probiotics and postbiotics in our body. And there's been so much work and promotion done on probiotics over the years that people get, bloated or gassy or crampy or any of that kind of stuff, belly fat, constipation, diarrhea. They automatically think probiotics. And so they'll go and buy some from the local chemist shop or the local health food shop. But what I've found is, especially if we're wanting to feed that brain properly, is we're really going to look at, we're having enough prebiotic foods in our diet, because I find so many people aren't having them. So just taking a postbiotic, that is the microbes. The prebiotics are the foods that feed, that allow the probiotics to flourish. So we have to be able to look at that. So if we're thinking foods, okay, that are prebiotic in nature, foods that have got really good fiber, soluble fiber, so our body is able to utilize it as a prebiotic. So foods like beans and whole grains and certain veggies, all those kind of things help to create substances that help, there are prebiotics that help to grow and thrive in the gut. And all plants contain fiber, but not all fiber is prebiotic. So to be classed as prebiotic, it has to be able to go through the GI tract undigested. and stimulate the growth or the activity of the good bacteria, which are the probiotics. So here are a few of my favorite soluble fiber foods that help. You ready? So things from dandelion greens. Dandelions they're a weed here in Australia, except back in the old days they were used as a steamed vegetable. They're great and they still just grow. So dandelion greens. Jerusalem artichokes, which we don't eat a lot of here in Australia, but people do in North America. All of your pungents, garlics and leeks and onions and psyllium husks, things like that. Beetroot. I grow my own beetroot and pickle my beetroot. It's so good. Asparagus, legumes, barley, whole oats. So wholemeal oats, okay? Apples that contain pectin, which is also, it's the pectin that's a soluble fiber. Burdock root, flax seeds, wheat bran, all the close to nature brown grains are useful, not the white refined ones. Seaweed, sprouts, blueberries, green kiwi fruit. Green kiwi fruit is like the textbook fruit. It's got digestive enzymes and got the prebiotics, but you've got to eat it with the skin on. Okay, so these are some of my favorites. However, when we go cooking foods, it can change the fiber. It really can. And so lightly steamed is always a go. Steam, I've talked about in the past about having the lid on the pot to make sure that you're not losing any water soluble nutrients that you could be then just drinking when it cools as like a vitamin drink. We want to also have a little bit raw. So even if you imagine if you're going to do cooked, you're cooking some green beans, for instance, but you're nibbling on some raw while you're getting that cooking done. That can be an easy solution. So we need this diversity. We need the diversity, and it's said to be at least 30 plants, different plants across our meals of a day. The reality is most people are not having 30 different plant foods a week. So it's worth counting them up. And I've really sadly, I saw on a podcast recently where in North America they were trying to say that ketchup, tomato sauce, counts as a vegetable. I can't even say it, and I was shocked that they considered putting ketchup on food gave you a serving of vegetables for the day. Well, as far as naturopaths are concerned, that sure as hell does not get my tick. We want to eat the whole plant food because we want that fiber. Just sweetened, salted tomato sauce, ketchup is not a good source of a vegetable. It's just not. And if we look at the healthiest populations on the planet through shows like, the Blue Zone, which has been on Netflix, it's really interesting that the majority of them, 90% of them are plant-based. So for that longevity to become an octarian or a centarian, a plant-based diet, or at least one that's really well balanced in good quality fruit and veg, is the way to go. I love it when I go traveling to Asia, which I do so often teaching, that the vegetables and, the plants are the centerpiece of the meal, always. And it's like meats are the sideshow. And so if you are listening to this and you're a meat eater, it's all good. I'm not saying don't eat meat, but I'm saying making sure that you get enough good fibrous vegetables with your meals of a day is really important, and across the spectrum of colors and textures. So if you are a big meat eater, I'm not saying go without meat, but imagine you even bought 2 or 3 plant-based meals into your diet a week. And especially if you're finding that you're starting to get all these food intolerances, we need to come back to the basics. We need to come back to what's off balance for us to get these sensitivities. We've got these sensitivities because we're not having enough of the prebiotics, for instance, to feed the probiotics, which is then setting up our microbiome to work properly, to tell the gut and brain what to do through this super highway. Just eliminating the foods that are giving you a sensitivity doesn't help. We need to bring all that back into balance. So how do we get our heads around it? Well, as soon as we're told we can't have something, we crave it. So it's not about saying, oh, shit, I can't have this, I can't have this. It's about bringing things back into balance, okay? And we want to set ourselves up always for long-term success and just integrate things slowly. So if you haven't been having lots of prebiotic foods, don't go and do a meal that's super loaded in onions and garlics and leeks and ginger and all those kind of things right up from the start and get this big gassy out of balance body. You want to just integrate them slowly because we want sustainable change. We know that the probiotics, which are the good microbiome, are things like, your yogurts. They're all your fermented foods, yogurts and sauerkraut and kimchi and tempeh, miso. They're essential to good digestion and to very much to the gut-brain axis, but they've got to be fed properly, and they're fed with the prebiotics. And so when the probiotics are fed properly from the prebiotics, that's when our body makes postbiotics. And the postbiotics are the waste left behind from that digestion process. And healthy postbiotics include everything from vitamin K and vitamin Bs to our amino acids, and things like the antimicrobial peptides, which are actually there to slow down the growth of the bad bacteria. That balance that's essential in our large intestine is that we have more good bacteria than bad bacteria. If we're not eating enough pungents and good fibrous veggies to feed the probiotics, it gets out of balance. The bad bacteria takes over the good bacteria, and then we're in trouble. So if you're wanting to work out or work through food sensitivities difference, we've got to get our gut brain talking properly to each other. And the bottom line is, the BAM, is that we've got to start with our gut microbiome. Look at what you're eating. Don't just eliminate. Make sure you're eating more of the right foods that are going to feed that healthy gut-brain axis. And over time, so many sensitivities can absolutely be relieved. I want to thank you for being here today. If you enjoyed my podcast, please let me know by leaving a review on Apple Podcast. Every month, I draw one lucky person who leaves a review, have a free 1-hour consultation with me. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're tuning in from so that you always catch the next episode. I welcome your emails, and you can write to me at podcast@healthylifehacks.com.au. Until next time, remember, when it comes to life, live it, love it, and get on with it.